And we're going to take just a minute and just get a little bit more information. I want to give this to you, Deanna. And Deanna, tell us the neurodiversity and what it's like. Just we're all ears for what you want to tell us here. So just stand up or stand, whatever you'd like to do, and just share with us a little bit about what you represent.
All right. Well, I'm wearing the auditory hat, which is up my ears, and because I have a primary sensory preference for auditory. So I learn and take in information primarily by what I hear, by listening, by having discussions, and by asking questions. And you can ask all of these guys, I ask lots of questions. I remember what people say, I remember their words, and I remember their tone of voice. And honestly, I can remember conversations from 10 years ago and what people said. I also can hear the very first note of a song and know what it is and start singing it. You're doing that.
Wow. A tad, not quite as focused as you are, but believe me, I hear what you're saying.
All right, I also enjoy really good and lively discussions with people where I can listen to others and I can also express myself. I also enjoy music, theater, movie dialogues, and presentations. It drives Stephen crazy when we're watching a movie. If I can't hear every word of what they're saying, it has to be turned up. I need to hear the words.
And you actually like me roll it back so I can hear it again?
Exactly.
Okay, all right. All right. Let me ask you a question, Deanna. With your main sensory mode being the auditory mode, what's irritating you? What is it that really irritates you?
Well, it's interesting because when you have your primary style being auditory or whatever your primary preference is, the same thing that you pay most attention to is what also irritates you the most. So I get irritated with loud noise or loud talking when I'm trying to concentrate or do something really challenging. I also get irritated when people interrupt me or rush me during a conversation or tend to seem like they're just tuning me out. I need time to ask questions and to clarify the meaning of words, so I need to talk about it. I need to talk about this. So I need an environment and interruption-free place so I can focus and concentrate. And I tend to express emotion primarily through my tone of voice.
Yeah, thank you. Give her a nice hand. We're going to go over here to Monty. And Monty, do that again. Shake your head again for what in the world is happening here? For heaven's sakes. Monty's going to share with us the sensory mode where he finds his strength.
Thank you, Tony, and good morning. I'm primarily visual. Therefore, I go through life enjoying anything and everything I can possibly see. Love pictures, love data, like charts, like graphs. I've been sitting here watching people's expressions on their faces, so being here, being present with you is very important to me in terms of taking in information. I don't necessarily like to read a lot, but I like things that are very synthesized and boiled down and to the point. I remember images from a long, long time ago. I have basically a desire to see things in color as opposed to black and white. Again, I like to watch facial expressions. And basically what it boils down to, I enjoy if I need to have a conversation with somebody to do it like over Skype, where I can talk to them as well as see them in the moment. A little bit of email, but not a lot. Love museums. In fact, the Science Center of St. Louis has an exhibit this afternoon, or a running exhibit right now, on dissecting the brain. So I can't wait to get over there this afternoon and take a look at that. And there's a reason I live in Estes Park, Colorado. However many ever been to Estes Park? Beautiful location. So I love places where I can be with nature. and basically those kinds of environments.
And there must be something, though, that kind of irritates you from time to time. And how would you express that? What emotion do you show when you're irritated?
Well, what emotion I show when I'm irritated is probably get rather frustrated. And in addition to my consulting practice, I'm also an adjunct professor in a doctoral program, probably one of the few doctoral programs in the United States in Homeland Security. We also have emerging media, sustainability, global leadership. And when I'm reading my students' literature reviews and they're 50, 60 pages long, it's like, oh, I can't handle it. So one of the things I encourage them to do is boil it down, put it in tables, create a schematic, create a picture so I can wrap my mind around it without getting into all the details.
Give Monty a nice hand. Monty, thank you so much. Okay. We're going to come over here to the hard hat. Coming to the hard hat. And we're going to ask Stephen here to give us his sensory mode and what that might feel like.
Okay. Well, I'm a kinesthetic learner. I like hands-on. My whole life kind of revolves around movement and touch. I really, really like to move about, touch what I'm learning. And what kind of got me into this field really was engineering school at the University of Florida. And I wondered why I particularly was good at laboratory courses and not so good in the auditory classes, the ones that were lecture, because auditory is not my least favorite. So I remember what I do. I have to have some kinesthetic movement, touch, or physical involvement in what I'm looking at or hearing. All right? Because you just can't learn purely through kinesthetic. But unless I could move, touch, or have some physical interaction with what I'm looking at or hearing, I don't get it. So that's really, really an important part of it.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Nice hand for Steve. Now, come over here. I should. Why don't I ask you about your distraction? Why don't I do that? This is a good plan. Tell us about your distractions. Okay. Go ahead, we're ready.
Well, long meetings when you're trapped in the corner, and you're having to sit there, being physically uncomfortable, feeling trapped, that's kind of when I fidget. I'm tapping, legs moving up and down, taking the pen apart, and I'm feeling really physically uncomfortable. The other thing that drives me really, really crazy with this kinesthetic nature is that my whole life revolves around the sense of movement, with projects, getting things done. So that if there's an obstacle, or someone says, hey, stop, we don't have the budget approval on this, we gotta wait on such and such. Just drives me, just absolutely drives me gonzo. So, I did want to close with a little something here. My secondary modality that I prefer is Marty's primary visual. So you see, my life revolves around how things feel and how things look. What I'm least attracted to is words. So that's my last preferred modality.
Now that's probably not been a problem for you and Deanna. I mean, auditory.
Well, let me tell you.
I just kind of throw it out here. I mean,
well, Deanna and I met in 1992, and we met at a workshop, and we both had about 6 months behind us with our divorces, and we came together to talk about what we wanted to do, and we decided, actually the first time we met, the first 24 hours, that we wanted to try to make this world a little kinder, better place, and maybe we could wrap something around the power of the brain and neuroscience. And Deanna had all the background in that area. And we had very lofty goals, also we came together to not only do something together, but to also walk life together. And you would think, wouldn't you, if you were madly in love, had high values, lofty goals, and are really all charged up, that everything would be just great, peachy keen and fine. Well, I can tell you, not. Well, before we, as soon as we created our first assessment, actually, which was in 1993 for Monsanto, on a scale of 0 to 25, my auditory was 0, which also explains some of my difficulties with lecture courses. And Deanna's auditory score was 25. So we have a little gap there, you know. So what do you think Deanna would always say to me? Or Deanna, what did you used to say?
You're not listening to me.
Bingo!
Now, none of us have heard that, fellas, right? Nobody's ever heard it.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or you mean it actually happens? I had, see, but my wife said to me, you never listen to me, and my response was, what do you mean I don't listen to you? I teach this stuff. This was not the right thing to say, I'll tell you right there.
So you see, I want to make this an opportunity as for a learning point too. You see, my blind spot is auditory. So you see, if things feel right and look right, I don't remember words or the tone of voice. So I miss a lot. So I'm likely, in a risk management situation in business or socially, to not hear things, reach a conclusion, and charge ahead, and miss something really, really important. Now,
what I'd like to do is expand on that, if I may, with your permission. Wow. May we do that? Can I have that back, please? Maybe you touched me with what you said. I really appreciate it. Now, yes, yeah. Now, here's the deal. What we've done is we've had the experience of 3 sensory modes. We want to add another component. Stephen, go back there and get a bald mannequin, right back there. And what we're going to ask Monty and Deanna and Stephen to do is, Stephen, I brought it up here, I apologize. I brought it up here for you. But grab your other mode, let me have that, I'll put it up here. What we're going to do is add the cognitive component of building a whole brain. And that's really what we're doing with this illustration, is building a whole brain. We have kinesthetic, auditory, and visual, which are the sensory modes. They come in a variety of sequences. And Deanna and Stephen and Monty are now demonstrating the cognitive component of what brain mode power can tell you about yourself, show you about yourself, and give you a sense of and a feel for how you're wired. So let's just walk over here to Deanna, and remember, Deanna has an auditory strength, and her cognitive component is?
I am a sequential thinker. That's my cognitive preference. And I like to pay attention to logic and details. I like to work on a single task at a time before I move on to the next task. I enjoy processes and procedures, and I usually make lists and schedules and follow them. I need closure and a strong sense of progress, and I prefer to use data and organized information to make decisions. People often refer to me as logical, practical, accurate, focused, and realistic.
Wonderful. Now, again, boom. Deanna, let's go a step further here. Again, irritations, what would that look like as a sequential thinker?
Well, some of the things that are challenging for me in the workplace involve environments with the absence of logic and clear direction. I get frustrated and stressed out when I have to do a lot of multitasking and I don't have enough time to finish a job. I really like blue sky thinking and brainstorming sessions, but I can't stay there too long. We need to get on and get something done.
get it on and get it done. And so some famous people that you relate to.
Well, I think some of the people who are famous that have been sequential are people like Aristotle, Isaac Newton, Thomas Edison, and Sherlock Holmes.
Thank you. Is this making sense? How many of you out there can relate to the sequential component that she's described? Interesting, interesting. Let's come over here to Stephen Hot Dog. We're back to you, Stephen. Golly, I just love it here. And he is representing here the
global. It's a big cosmic sandbox, you know, and I absolutely love it, which was another clue as to why I had some difficulty with some of the, like thermodynamics and strength of materials and advanced differential equations, and pretty good with the concept of forces. So I like to live in the world of imagination. Give me a rule, I'll try to figure out how to break it. Give me a problem, I'll come up with 50,000 solutions. Usually when I see something in my head, it's already a done deal. People say to me, hey, you know, I think it's going to take an army in 5 years to get this done. But to me, it's already done because it's in my brain. And of course, the things that really, really distract me is too much detail. I like the big picture. I'm a big boy. You don't have to lay it out for me.
Who do you relate to? Who are some of the famous people, Stephen, that you feel fit in this global category?
Huh. Well, I think, what do you think of Steven Spielberg? You think he's a global? Yeah. What about Steve Jobs? Albert Einstein? Okay. And also Oprah Winfrey. She's a pretty raging, absolutely incredible human being and a global thinker. Point is, we need them all. You know, no good or bad here.
Raise your hands if again, you relate to Stephen's global thinking here. Thank you. Thank you. And let's go here to our third representation, oh, for heaven's sakes. Come on up here, Monty. This is outstanding. Monty, share with us what you are saying to us with that
Level on my head?
Yeah.
So I'm basically the integrated. So we got on one side highly sequential, we got on the other side highly global. And there's a few people that sort of bounce back and forth on a daily basis. We sort of like to work in the sequential area and we sort of like to work in the global area, and we can basically work back and forth between the two. We also have a tendency that when she is very demanding of the plan and he's very demanding of the possibilities, that the integrated sort of comes in and starts negotiating a little bit. So we're sort of the one that balances things out, and we focus a lot in terms of just trying to get it done and blending all of this together.
And the famous folks that we might connect with?
Probably all the people in the world to get something done.